What's going on, guys? Happy Monday. Or is it? Bitcoin's pretty red. The Bitcoin miners are pulling back. January continues to be a rough month for Bitcoin. Keep in mind we have CPI and PPI coming out this week. CPI is coming out January 15th. It has a forecast of 2.9%. The previous read was 2.7. Let's see this come under 2.9. Definitely not a good direction we've been going. And PPI comes in a day before CPI. Is coming out tomorrow, January 14th. The forecast is a 3.4%. Previous read was a 3. The direction has been going up on this as well. See why risk on assets are selling off, worried about less rate cuts. If inflation continues ticking up, while we have a strong labor market, while the economy isn't crashing, the Fed is going to keep rates elevated. The Fed is not going to lower rates anymore until we start seeing things tick down again. Now let's talk about a very manipulative Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon believes Bitcoin has no intrinsic value, and yet JPMorgan Chase is very bullish on Bitcoin, the company he's the CEO of. Jamie Dimon says it's used heavily by sex traffickers, money launderers, ransomware. I just don't feel great about Bitcoin. Where does his company fit into this? Are they in a different category he doesn't mention? Or are they one of these? A little bit disingenuous, eh? And Jamie Dimon likens it to smoking cigarettes. I applaud your ability to want to buy or sell it, just like I think you have the right to smoke. But I don't think you should smoke. So where does that place his company that's buying Bitcoin, that's bullish on the Bitcoin miners? Now we know JPMorgan holds Bitcoin ETFs. We know JPMorgan is bullish on Bitcoin while the CEO tells a different story. I think that's very snake-like behavior. Here we have a month ago report by JPMorgan. Bitcoin miners Cypher, CleanSpark, Mara upgraded. And while this is a month ago, JPMorgan clearly hasn't changed their stance. Jamie Dimon is still bashing Bitcoin, while JPMorgan is very bullish on it. It's a typical CEO saying, look over here, distraction. I don't like this Bitcoin stuff, while his company literally loads up on it, while his company is making moves with crypto. And despite Jamie Dimon's clown take, JPMorgan analysts have been very bullish on the crypto market, projecting a positive outlook for 2025. But that's no surprise hearing a bank bash Bitcoin, while the true Ponzi gets to fly under the radar. But as this JPMorgan analyst says, there's several factors fueling their bullish outlook, such as the emergence of the debasement trade. What is that? Well, this is a trend in which investors turn to alternative assets, gold and Bitcoin, going away from the dollar, hedging against economic instability. Now let's move on, because I'd rather talk about something in this video rather than a really fake JPMorgan Chase CEO saying one thing while his company does the complete opposite. But what do you expect? It's a bank. And now we have an analyst saying Bitcoin could peak in summer because of this indicator. Bitcoin's price has previously peaked when the 1-year moving average hit the midway mark on the LGC channel, or the logarithmic growth curve. The suggestion of a mid-year Bitcoin peak is here. Now here's the thing with this. While this has been accurate in some cycles, it has been very inaccurate in others. For example, in 2017, Bitcoin peaked on December 17, but the top signal came a month later on January 15. Not too bad. But check this out. During the 2021 cycle, when Bitcoin topped at 69,000 on November 10, the 52-week SMA displayed the signal months earlier, May 3. That is quite a few months earlier. So according to this article, the Bitcoin top in 2025 might fall within a few days to months, just before or after the 1-year SMA crosses the LGC's middle line, which is expected sometime in mid-July. It is noted by Dave the Wave that this less steep 1-year moving average signifies a maturing market. Now there are definitely likely other indicators that are probably going to be more accurate than this, but it doesn't hurt to keep a nice list, and I'll leave what I'm watching down below for you guys. But there are like 30 indicators, none of them are flashing sell yet. Now we have some interesting news for Canada. BlackRock launches a Bitcoin ETF on the Canadian exchange. We have news that MicroStrategy has bought Bitcoin for their 10th consecutive week, and Michael Saylor posted a Bitcoin tracker basically for the 10th consecutive week. This has been a signal of an upcoming Bitcoin purchase every time he does this. And Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy now holds over 2% of all the Bitcoin that will ever exist. They purchased 2,530 Bitcoin at an average price of 95,972 from January 6th through January 12th. Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy is now holding 450,000 Bitcoin. They're on their way to 500,000 and then soon 1 million. Soon they're going to have 1/20th of Bitcoin supply. One company holding 1/20th of Bitcoin. It is getting more and more scarce on every day that passes. And while this is nowhere near as large of news as MicroStrategy's news, Smlr Scientific also bought more Bitcoin, raising their holdings to 2,321 Bitcoin. We will continue to pursue our strategy of purchasing Bitcoin with cash, says Doug Murphy, the CEO. How many more companies start doing this in 2025? These aren't the only ones. We're going to hear news of more new companies buying Bitcoin in 2025, make no mistake. Some might buy a little too late in the cycle and have a sour taste on Bitcoin, see it as a Ponzi like Jamie Dimon supposedly does, which I think is bullshit. I think he's just putting on a front. But this is adoption in the making. Wall Street has now adopted Bitcoin. These publicly traded companies are announcing Bitcoin purchases. We have banks that are bullish on Bitcoin while their CEOs pretend to be bearish, saying it's a Ponzi scheme. When we know the biggest Ponzi scheme is US dollars, which has no limit on its max supply. If the government wanted to print 20% of the circulating supply, they could do it tomorrow. You better believe the government's going to print a ton of money. Bitcoin can't do this. Bitcoin is set in its supply. There is only going to be ever 21 million Bitcoin, while the number of USD has no end in sight. So on a red day like this for Bitcoin, are you actually worried? Does it really matter in the long-term scope of things? This is just a little reminder to be bullish. Unless you believe Bitcoin has topped out this cycle, then by all means. But I don't think the top is in yet, not even close. I think 2025 will be a great year for Bitcoin, the Bitcoin miners, of which many are just on the brink of profitability. Stay strong, don't give up hope. Be bullish on days like these. Don't get shaken out. Trust the cycle. Trust that the money will continue to be printed like it always is. And this money will flow into assets like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an extremely special asset, and we'll probably see nothing like it again. It is the one and only. But let me know how you guys are feeling this Monday. Are you worried? Or do days like this make you excited? Thanks as always for watching, guys. Tomorrow and the next day are going to be pretty interesting with CPI and PPI. If these come in low, I do think we'll have a little spike in the market. Even if they come in slightly under forecast, they're still higher than previous reads, and that's not necessarily a good sign. In the end, we do need inflation coming down more, especially on the backdrop of a strong economy in terms of labor, like what we saw on Friday's report. Thanks as always for watching, guys. Hopefully you have a good Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow.